Okay, all right. We're live. What's up, everybody? I'm Tom Taylor. Over there on the other side of the screen is the one championship strawweight kickboxing champion, Jon Di Bella. This is the post-fight podcast. You're probably all wondering where Nick Atkin is. Nick is on a bus in Hong Kong, rushing to come meet us as fast as he can, racing against the Hong Kong traffic. Should be joining us in 10 minutes or so. But great news is that in the meantime, I've got somebody way more interesting than Nick, of course, Jon Di Bella. Jon, as I was saying before the camera started rolling, you've got some palm trees behind you. Looks like a beautiful day. That is clearly not Montreal. What's going on, man? Where are you? Tell us about what's going on.
I'm in South Florida. I'm in just chilling here and training and just hanging out.
Right. So I saw on your Instagram that you're at Killcliff. You were doing some rounds there. How long are you there for? How did you end up there? I mean, what's going on?
Yeah, I'm just here for a week or so. Every time I'm in South Florida, I go to my dad has a bunch of friends and a bunch of coaches that he knows and a bunch of gym. We go around and just get some rounds in while we're here. So yeah, yesterday we went to Killcliff and it was good. It was fun.
Nice. So is this kind of a vacation or is it more a training trip? Like, what's the reason for going to Florida?
Yeah, more for training and a little getaway. Yeah.
Nice. Are you there with your girlfriend, your dad? Who are you traveling with?
Yeah, my parents and my girlfriend.
Okay, nice, man. A little family vacation. That sounds nice. I was just
Yeah,
down there a little while ago, man. You can't beat the
nice.
weather there, eh?
Yeah, it's nice. But today's a little rainy, but I think tomorrow will be nicer.
Nice, man. Nice. So what part of town what city is Killcliff in? I always
So,
forget. Is it
I think Killcliff is in Deerfield. So yeah, so it's
Deerfield,
like
right? Yeah.
it's a bit more north. Yeah.
Right. Well, let's talk about Killcliff, man. That is a crazy gym. It's one of the best gyms in the world right now. Is this your first time there?
No, so every time we come, we try to go a few days there. Yeah,
Okay, cool.
With
So
Henry and Henry, my dad. Yeah, it's cool.
yeah. It must be cool having those two guys in a room together, eh? Just like a wealth of
Yeah,
kickboxing
yeah,
knowledge. What did they
yeah.
like
It's fun.
together?
Yeah, it's fun. They were good together. Yeah, it's fun.
Cool, man. Cool. And you were getting in some rounds with Michael Chandler from the looks of it, right?
Oh yeah, I got him. Actually, got it was like a mistake. So like, it was just like a warm up round. Yeah, we did like our first round together. Yeah, we just bumped into each other and you missing a partner? And all right, we go.
Yeah. And he was familiar with your body of work. He knew who you were and stuff.
No, I don't think so.
Well, man, it looked like you were landing some shots on him. I'm sure he knows who you are now. What was that like? Sparring with him, training with him.
Yeah, we're just doing some technical sparring and yeah, it was fun. It was actually really fun. He's no joke. He's for real, man. But he could have taken me down anytime he wanted to. So yeah.
Right. Well, thankfully he didn't do that. But you were impressed with his skill, his striking
Yeah,
skill.
he's legit. He's good. He's really good.
Yeah.
He's legit. Yeah.
That's pretty cool. And in a small way, you helped him get ready for Conor McGregor. If he goes out and beats Conor McGregor, you can go around and tell everyone that you were one of his training partners for this fight.
Yeah, I did one round with him.
Yeah, that's enough, man. That's more than I did. I think you can take full credit if he beats Conor McGregor. Who else did you train with, or have you been training with down there? Any other?
Just some other fighters. There was a bunch of fighters. So I sparred like there was many rounds. So like it was just like all over the place. We were just sparring everybody in like one round. They said it was kickboxing day, so that's why I went and I went on Tuesday, so it was fun. Like Henry always welcomes us whenever we're in town. Like he always opened his arms to me, and my dad, and yeah, he's super nice, man.
So have your dad and Henry known each other for quite a while, like just through the kickboxing
Yeah, just
industry?
just through the kickboxing industry for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
Do you do any other training there? Like, have you tried doing
Yeah,
any MMA stuff there?
so not MMA, but like we're like this week we're gonna be like going to South Beach in the box. We have our friend, my dad's friend Dino from South Beach and Fifth Street Boxing. So we always go there, yeah, and to do boxing.
Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. And so this trip is just Florida. You're sticking to South Florida on this one?
Yeah, we're in South Florida. Yeah. So we have a
Nice.
family condo. We have a family condo here in Aventura,
Nice.
Florida. It's North Miami. So then
Okay.
we're not far from everything. Yeah. So we're good.
Any plans for the beach or anything?
Yeah, when the weather gets nice. When the
Yeah.
weather gets
All
nice,
right.
I'll do some training on the beach for sure. Go run in the morning.
Yeah, I mean that's the way it is in Florida, I think, right? They get rain, most days sometimes. I
Yeah,
guess just
yeah.
that's the nature of living on a peninsula. So I mean, are you going back to Montreal after this? Or you're hanging you're What's the plan?
I'll be back in Montreal after this. Yeah, for sure. I'll be back in Montreal. So
Okay,
I go from Montreal to New York and yeah.
so you were in New York before this.
Yeah.
Okay, that's and you're training in Brooklyn, right?
Yeah, I train in Brooklyn. Yeah.
Nice, man. Nice. That's a fun little vacation for you, though. Not a vacation, I guess, but a
Yeah. I
fun
feel
trip for you, man.
when I'm in Florida and New York, I feel like I'm always home, you know. Especially New York.
Yeah.
New York, I grew up in New York fighting in New York, so I'm home.
hmm
I'm home
I
there.
feel the same way about Florida, man. It's a crazy state, but it's a great state, man.
Yeah, it's a
I
great
love
state.
visiting Florida. Yeah.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you, being that you're at Killcliff, doing some training there, that's the training home of one championship's biggest stars right now, Ongla and Song. Have you crossed paths with him?
Of course, man. We always talk. We're always messaging each other. And yeah, yesterday we saw him. We have a nice convo with him, so it's cool. Yeah, he's super nice. He's the best.
He's a great guy. Were
Yeah,
you able to like pick his brain at all? Get any kind of one championship knowledge from him?
yeah. We always talk. We always talk though. We're always messaging each other with Ong and yeah, like he always gives me his because he's been in one championship longer, so he always gives me his like his like he always gives me his knowledge and like yeah, he's super cool, man. He's really good and he's super
Yeah,
knowledgeable. He's very experienced, so he's good.
yeah, he's one of like the OGs of one championship at this
Yeah.
point. Has just been around for so long. Um, Obviously, America is kind of in the news lately with respect to one championship. We're talking a lot about this US debut. Are you planning on going to that show in Denver?
I'm not sure. I don't think so, but I'll hopefully if maybe I'll decide last minute, but I don't think so. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Well, of course, you wanted to be on that card. I mean, pretty disappointing that they didn't get you on that one, right?
Yeah, it's okay. It will be in the future. I'll think about it in a positive way. But yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
it's kind of disappointing, but yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, yeah. Well, that's very classy of you. I'm very disappointed that you're not on that card. I'm not afraid to say that. I think there was a major error. Another mistake I think that one has made with this card is there's no kickboxing on this card. I don't know
Yeah,
what the
that's
hell.
what like I'm sad about. Like there's no kickboxing in the card. Yeah. That's what I'm
Yeah,
sad about. Yeah.
and man, like we talk a lot about how great the 4-ounce gloves is for Muay Thai and one championship. People love that, and obviously one has a great MMA roster, and the submission grappling has been very cool. But I think that the kickboxing is maybe the best thing that one championship offers right now. Just the quality of fighters is unbelievable, right? It seems like a
Yeah.
mistake not to include this.
Yeah, it is a mistake, but like I hopefully like in the future like there's more like US cards like so like we all can like we'll bring kickboxing in America. That was my goal going into one. Like I knew eventually they were going to be going to the States and like making kickboxing big in the States. So that's was my main goal. So
Mhm.
that's what I still want to do and that's I still plan to do, make kickboxing huge in the States.
Yeah. So you think,
Yeah.
boxing is obviously very popular in the States, and we know MMA is popular in the States. You think kickboxing has the potential to really catch on with fight fans over
Yeah,
here?
yeah, we just need the platform like one, man. We need the platform like one championship to make it big. That's what we need, and that's why I joined one because they have the platform and they have the popularity to make to make kickboxing big in the States, especially here on the East Coast. It's big. So yeah, we gotta make it big.
Do you think one right now has the best kickboxing roster in the world? I would say obviously it's down to like, one and a few other organizations. Would you say they have the best fighters?
100%. Yeah, we do. Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's just crazy, man. The good news, obviously, with respect to you potentially fighting in the States, is that I think the plan is for 2 shows in the US this year. Obviously, we haven't really heard anything about the other one because they're so focused on this one coming up in May. But safe to say that you're hoping if there's another show in the US this year, you
yeah,
can
I
get on
really
that
hope
one.
so. I really hope so. Yeah, it would be yeah, it would be really good if I get on that one. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, for sure, man. It makes all the sense in the world to have you on one of these US cards. I think, just because first of all, you're from Canada, which is not far away. There's lots of Canadians in the States, but also, like you've said, you've trained so much in Brooklyn and fought so much in New York. And of course, the Florida connection
yeah,
that we're all aware of now, it just seems like a no-brainer to me. They got to get you on one of these cards. But, the priority for you is just fighting again, right?
yeah,
And we know that you're ready. You've been training. It seems like one and sort of just is hyper focused on this US debut, and I feels like a couple of people have sort of been left out in the cold. That sounds a bit harsh, but there are people waiting for fights right now, and you're one of them. You're ready. You're hoping to fight like as soon as possible, right?
Yeah, so I got like an email saying that they offered me like a date, like they asked me if I was available for a date in
Okay.
so like yeah, so they asked me they sent me an email asking me if I was open for a date, available, and yeah, I said yes, of course, I'm ready to go, you know. So yeah,
Okay. Well,
hopefully
I
hope it's not anything, nothing is set yet, but they gave me a date and location, and yeah, I replied yes because I'm always ready, you know.
Okay, well, that's hugely exciting news, right? Because for a little while, you didn't even have that. You didn't have the date. You didn't have the location or
Yeah,
anything. And I don't want to get you in trouble. You don't have to tell us the date or
yeah.
anything. We'll keep that under wraps for now. But just the fact that you have a date, I mean, after waiting for quite a while, that must have just felt so exciting to hear from them and see that the wheels are in motion, right? You must be so pumped.
Yeah, I'm pumped. Yeah, for sure. I can't wait. I can't wait to find out who it is. I don't mind who it is, but I just want to know. I want to know, and I want to
hmm
like get it set and get ready to fight. You know, I'm itching to fight again.
Yeah, it must be hard as a fighter when I mean, this is your job, and when you go long stretches without being able to do your job, obviously you're training, but you're not able to fight. It must be kind of strange for you, right?
Yeah, well, I'm always training all year round, even though I don't have a fight. But yeah, now it's time to go. Now it's time to get in the cage or ring, ready to go.
hmm
Yeah,
Yeah, and especially after the delays before your one debut. Obviously, that was
yeah,
nobody's fault, really. There was the pandemic, but
yeah. That was nobody's fault.
you weren't able to kickbox for a while there. Yeah, you had to do the boxing matches, which I'm sure were very fun. But after all that, I mean, you've got to just be kind of itching to
Yeah.
fight regularly now, right?
Especially like with the kickboxing, I haven't done it in 3 years. Before the design fight, I didn't fight kickboxing in 3 years. So that was my first time kickboxing in 3 years, and like it felt weird because you can box, but it's a different timing, the kicking and stuff. So like I was
Yeah.
yeah, my dad was, first of all, my dad was mad at my performance. Like we didn't find like we did like it wasn't I didn't fight myself. So like I hopefully like that's why I want to keep the ball rolling and keep fighting. So
hmm
we're back
hmm
on, you know. Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I'm gonna just pause for a second here and bring the man Nick Atkin into this
Yes, sir.
podcast. Finally, the
Hey.
trifecta is complete. There he is. Nick, how was
Sorry,
the bus
guys.
ride, man? Oh, don't
Yeah,
apologize, man.
apologies. Yeah, I
No
sat
apologize, man.
the bus driver just sat on the spot for about 10 minutes. So I'm back now. What have I missed? What have I missed? That's
Well,
some
you've
thrilling
you've missed
conversation, Michelle.
you've missed actually some very exciting news. Jon Di Bella
What's that?
has a date and a
Oh yeah.
location for his next fight. Now we're going to keep it under wraps. We don't want Jon to get in trouble with these things.
Okay.
It's still kind of in the works, I think, from the sounds of it. But that in itself is exciting news, right? Because we know this guy was waiting
Oh,
for a fight, and now the ball is that an expression? The ball is in motion. That's not an expression. You know what
it
I
is
mean? The
now.
wheels are in motion. Yeah,
The wheels are in
The ball
motion.
is in motion.
that's what I was fishing for. The wheels are in motion.
Okay.
Very exciting. Nick, how excited are you about this, man? This is good news. We've been waiting for this.
Yes, very excited. Well done. Congratulations, John. I want to say on the record, it's a complete farce that you didn't fight before now, especially when the guy you beat to win the title got a fight before you. Complete farce. I'm very happy you have a fight now. I
Hopefully it
know
works.
you.
So hopefully it goes through. Hopefully it goes through. Yeah.
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 Okay. Well, so it's not officially confirmed yet, or what? Has
No, it's
Tom
not
already asked
confirmed.
you?
It's not confirmed yet. It's just like a date,
Okay.
like they asked me
Mhm.
if I was available on that date and like in the location, and like we said yes. So
That's
yeah.
very good news. I'm so
Very good
happy.
news.
A lot of our
Mhm.
fans always asking when John's going to fight. When there's a bunch of you guys, champs like Tankai and Petanong. We just want to see the champions fight. There's a lot of cards happening. There's no title fights. Why don't we get Jon Di Bella on? Let's do it. Come on.
Yeah,
Yeah,
let's
it
go.
makes a ton of sense. Now, obviously, we don't know who you're fighting. You've said you don't know who you're fighting, and you're open to fighting anybody. But the name, of course, that people are going to mention is Zhang Paiman, who just fought again, picked up a nice win. I'm forgetting his opponent's name, but it was a great fight, a fun fight. Fairly competitive, but Zhang got the win in the end. I see lots of people in the comments here asking about a potential rematch with him. First and foremost, John, what did you think of his fight that he just had?
Yeah, you look good, man. You look good. You look good. I'm ready to go. I'm
Mhm.
ready. I'm ready. I can't wait to fight him again.
Yeah,
Oh,
as a guy who just spent 5 rounds in the circle with him, watching his fight, this last fight, did you see some improvements? Did he look like an improved fighter to you?
About yeah. You look this more or less the same. More or less the
hmm
same. I don't know much about the other guy. So like I can't really tell, but yeah, he looked good. He looked about the same that he was in my fight. He looked in good shape. Yeah.
So when you saw him get that win, you weren't like, "Oh shit, I have to fight that guy again." You were like, "Oh, this
Nah,
I can do
man.
this again." Yeah.
Nah,
Okay.
listen. At this level, you gotta be ready for everybody, and like I want to fight the highest level, so I'm ready to fight the highest level, and I want him to be the best, his best when I fight him. That's when I perform better. That's when I perform better. Yeah.
Well, that
I
first
thought
fight,
that guy was quite good though. Terepchi
Yeah,
Dongak.
he was good. He was good too. Yeah, he's tough. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, you thought he looked impressive too. Is he a potential challenger for you at some point? You think?
I guess, yeah, but I don't think he'll make him fight me next because Zhang just beat him. So yeah, hopefully it's Zhang next. Hopefully it's Zhang next.
Yeah. I hope so, because that fight was crazy. And as we've said in our previous interviews, and you've said many times, that first fight was very close. It was a great fight, and then it seemed to really come down to that knockdown you got in the 5th round, the head kick. The fans love that fight, but I'm assuming for you probably don't want to have a war like that with him every time. You don't want a super close fight like that every time. What do you do to kind of make sure that the rematch is maybe a little bit more decisive for you? Like, what do you do to make sure the rematch is better for you?
Yeah, you just gotta you'll see it when I fight. Like you'll see it when I fight. I don't want to give too much there, but like yeah, like I just gotta be me. I just gotta be me, and the more better he gets, the more better I get. So like the more like if he comes out better, I'll fight better for sure.
Yeah, and that was your one debut last time. Obviously, that comes with some challenges. And of course there was the travel. We know you had some travel issues right before that fight. It makes sense to me that you're going to be much better this time, right? Just because you've been through this already. It's not quite as new of an experience. Do you expect to be even better in your next one fight?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, even better. Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Nice, man. Nice. Well, it's very exciting to hear that the wheels are in motion, not the ball. The wheels are in motion for this fight. I think we're all hoping that it's the Zhang rematch. But whoever it is, it's just going to be great to have you back in there. I'm going to throw up a couple of questions here. I saw one about Takeru. Obviously there's been some rumors about Takeru's future. He's signed right now with the promotion in Europe, but I've heard that's just a one fight deal. So maybe he'll be up for grabs again if he decides to continue fighting. Is that a fight that you'd be interested in at some point? And how do you see that one going?
Yeah, for sure, man. I would love to fight him, but I actually did some light sparring with him in LA a while back. Like I believe it was like in 2020. Yeah, it was fun to work with, and yeah, I believe our styles match up perfectly for each other. That would be another war, I believe.
Yeah. What were those sparring rounds like? I mean, you don't have to spill the beans too much, but was it competitive? Did you feel like you were getting the better of him?
I believe so. I believe that there was we weren't going like it wasn't like 100% full out sparring, but like it was like technical sparring, and like I believe like when it's technical sparring, like that's when you can tell, like you can tell. But yeah, I feel like we both style good with each other. It would be a good fight for sure, like a chess match. It would be like a chess match.
Yeah, and it would be just a huge fight too. You're a champion of one championship. He's a huge star, obviously, one of the best in the world. That would be a huge one. You mentioned technical sparring, Nick. I don't know if you saw JDB was getting some technical sparring in with Michael Chandler from the UFC. Did you see that video on Instagram?
I didn't, but I just saw one of our comments here from Crombopulus Rosen alluding to it, and I was intrigued. I'd not see it. How do you guys not trip over the other fighters sparring in the room? Crombopulus is asking you, John. Sounds like there was a lot of people there.
Oh yeah, a lot of people. Yeah, it's cool. I'm used to it. There's a lot of it's cool. There's a lot of killers in that room. A lot of killers in that room. So yeah, so you're in a good place. We're in a good place there.
Definitely,
man. I didn't see it. Maybe I'll bring it up on screen. Was it on Chandler's Instagram or?
No, I think one put it. It was on my. Okay. I don't know how it got big. I put a few rounds on my sparring on my story, and like I think one or Beyond Kickboxing like shared it, and it became bigger than it was.
Yeah. I was gonna. Did you find it, Nick?
I'm gonna find it. You talk away. I'll dig it out somewhere.
I'll talk. Yeah, I was gonna say. Okay. You mentioned the amount of killers in that room at Killcliff, and I know your team in Montreal is very strong, and you get some great training in Brooklyn. But this is a real like super gym, Kill Cliff, like one of these massive gyms with like hundreds of fighters there, and so many of them are in one, and the UFC and so on and so forth. What's it like being in these rooms where you look around and you see like 5, 6, 7 people just in the room who are world champions? It must be so cool.
Yeah, it is cool. Like I go everywhere I go, not only Kill Cliff, but like everywhere I go. When I go to like boxing gyms in Brooklyn, like I spar at the high level, so the guys that I work with it's cool, you know. You feel like it's a good environment to be in. I feel in the right environment when I go to these places. I feel like I belong there.
Yeah, for sure. And of course you do belong there because you're a world champion. Do you ever get, having said that, do you ever get starstruck though when you meet some of these people? Like there's some big stars at that gym. Michael Chandler's fighting Conor McGregor next. Is it kind of, do you get starstruck? Are you that kind of person? Because I certainly would.
This moment here when I didn't have time to be, we were like literally like looked at each other and like, oh, you're available for the next round. Like I didn't even think about it. Like when you're on the mat, like we're a different, like we're in a different zone. Like we're in a professional mode. So like we don't think about like who it is. We have to just like deal with the round and that's it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, like this is a fun little sparring session to watch. You were landing on him pretty nicely and stuff. I'm surprised that he's not bigger than you. He seems like such a huge guy for a lightweight, but he doesn't look like he's that much bigger than you.
He's getting ready. I guess he's getting ready for Conor. He's in good shape. But he could take me down and just finish me on the floor.
Fair enough. He can take a lot of people down. That's one of his obviously his main weapons. Nick, I was saying, if Michael Chandler goes out there and knocks out Conor McGregor, I think Jon can take full credit with as a training partner.
That was just one round. It was just one round. It was a warm-up round.
That's like
who else is there? Is Ong La there at the moment?
Yeah, Ong was there. Ong was there. Yeah.
Are you best friends with him now? Because he's the nicest guy on earth.
Yeah, we always he messages like he always messages me we message each other on Instagram, and like he's really cool. He's really nice. He always gives me his knowledge and his experience on one and everything. Like he gives me advice on like how to deal like with everything in Asia and everything. So yeah, he's really cool.
I guess Tom already asked you this. Is he the one who invited you there? Okay, yeah.
He did ask me that.
I'll stop asking. I was late.
No, these are good questions. No, but to Nick, to answer that, it wasn't Ong La that invited you down. Jon, you're down there on a kind of family getaway.
Yeah,
right?
we're here to train also, like because we're like when we're in Florida, we go to train like a few gyms. My dad has friends in a few gyms, so we go like one day we do kickboxing, one day we do boxing, and when we go kickboxing, we go to Kill Cliff. Henry opens us with his arms open, and he always welcomes us with, like, he's very nice. He's super nice. So yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jon's dad, for people that don't know, Angelo is a kickboxing legend in his own right. Has been around this sport for a long time, and I guess clearly has a lot of connections in the industry, like Henry Hooft, who is so highly regarded these days. Jon, we're closing in on 25 minutes. I think we talked about half an hour, so I'm going to throw up some questions here for you before you take off, if that's cool.
Yeah.
This one was interesting, I thought. Have you ever done multiple fights in one night? Have you ever been a part of a tournament like that where you have to fight more than once in a night? And are you interested in that kind of thing in one? This is a question from RJ Bertle.
I did it in the amateurs. I did like one night tournaments in the amateurs. We did like I was a IKF. It was the IKF. It was actually my first time and only time I did Muay Thai, and I won. It was the IKF amateur world title in Walt Disney World in Orlando, Florida. And we did it was like 3 fights, and like it was a good experience. It was cool. But the pros is different. Like after every fight, like I find like you get like you get bumps on your shin and like cuts, and like so it's hard to do it in the pros. Like one night tournaments, it's kind of like it's kind of hard. So like you have to probably like be careful, like to not get cut in the fight. So I don't find it like smart, but like maybe in a week, like one week, like Friday, the next Friday, and the Friday after, like that'll be makes more sense for me.
Right, and of course the money would have to be right for something like this. If you're going to fight a few times in one night, they gotta pay you, right?
Yeah.
And it would change your strategy fight to fight, right? Because in the first fight you don't want to get super dinged up in the first fight, right? You'd have to kind of fight conservative and maybe take bigger risks as the night goes on. Yeah, that's super interesting. Yeah. Do you think one would ever consider doing a one night tournament? That seems like something they might do to me. I wouldn't put it
Yeah,
past them.
yeah, they're open to the open weight thing, so I guess so.
Right, we haven't heard much about that in a little while. I wonder if that's still happening. That's something we should ask Chattery about next time we have the chance. Nick, have you heard
Did you
anything
see
about
that clip I put on Twitter?
I don't
Or
think
what?
so. No.
Okay, well, this is Rod Tang auditioning, I think, for the open weight Grand Prix. I've got to show
Oh,
you
yeah.
this.
Him
yeah,
and
I
the
saw
big guy.
that.
Yeah, I did
I
see
saw
that
that.
actually. Yeah.
Yeah, he's just
Yeah.
he's sparring some massive dude he's on his seminar tour, right, in
Yeah.
America. Yeah, this guy's quite bigger than him, but it's all in the name of fun.
That's
Yeah,
fun,
no doubt, man.
They're
No
having
doubt.
fun.
And I have a hunch that guy maybe wouldn't put up quite the same fight as Super Bond or
Roman
whoever he ends
quickly.
up. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Here's another question for you, John. A
Yeah.
good one from Jimmy Kudo. He says, "How quickly can someone improve in a short space of time in kickboxing? Do you think Zhang's habits are still the same as they would have been when you met him was that October when the first fight
Yeah,
was?
October.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think you can change, you can adapt for sure. Especially especially at our at a high level, you can see your mistakes. But yeah, for sure. But I feel like Zion could fight it the same again. He just go back into the war mode. But yeah, he for sure can improve.
Mhm.
I wouldn't look past him. Like I always think I'm fighting a better version of the last time.
A couple questions sort of relating to your next fight here. Itchy asking who you would like to fight other than Zhang, and then Tyson Dang kind of said something similar. Maybe Sam A as a potential challenger. Sam A, of course, just made a comeback to one championship, looked great, won his fight at Lumpini. Is Sam A guy you'd like to fight at some point?
Yeah, man. I joined one to fight Sammy because he was the champion in my division, and that's why I was looking forward to fighting him. It would be a good fight, and yeah, I was sad to see him retire because I really wanted to beat the champion for the belt, and now that he's back, it will be cool. Yeah, hopefully he's interested in doing the kickboxing. It will be very cool.
Yeah, I would love to see that. He won a belt in kickboxing, of course, and Muay Thai, and two weight divisions. I think just an incredibly accomplished champion, and he's 40 years old, but I think he's 40 at least or close to it. He looked great though in that fight, right? I mean, like it didn't look like he really lost a step.
Yeah, he looked like he was on his prime, man. He looked perfect. Yeah, he looked good.
So when you look at that fight, despite his age, you see like a really tough challenge there.
Yeah, 100%. Everybody in the one kickboxing division and Muay Thai division, everybody's high level. You have to watch out for everybody. Can't underestimate nobody. Yeah.
Yeah, and just to follow up on that, is there anybody else on the one roster or even outside the one roster, kind of dream fights for you that you'd like to defend your title against?
Yeah, anybody, man. Anybody. Honestly, it would be anybody. Sammy is one. Takaru will be good. Hopefully, Zhang is next. It doesn't matter, man. It doesn't matter wherever they put in front of you, it'll be good.
Yeah, cool. That's a great attitude. All right, I'm going to throw a few more questions up here. I hope you still got time, John. You can take off at any moment here. This is one about your sparring session with Chandler. He said, Jin saw you controlling Chandler's head with your lead hand after striking in the pocket. Is that something you do instinctually or something you practice? Controlling Chandler's head with your lead hand.
Oh, yeah. I guess because I have a longer reach, so I was just came natural to me. Sometimes some things come natural in the moment, but yeah, sometimes we practice that. Yeah, it's more like a distant control. It's a distant control. Yeah.
You do have a pretty long reach for your division, right? Do you find you normally have like a reach advantage in most of your fights?
Yeah, usually, yeah. Sometimes you get these guys that are like rangy, but like like right now I feel like I'm more rangiest. Yeah.
Yeah, and you're one of these guys that knows how to use his range too, right? We've heard so many combat sports commentators get frustrated over the years when the guy with the longer reach isn't using his reach advantage properly. But you're so good at it. You got that great jab. You use that tool so well. Here's one from Andrew Hunt that you may relate to. Do you have any thoughts on Nikki Holskin's recent comments? I'm not sure if you saw this, but he was concerned that one is kind of sidelining some of its established names in favor of new signings, just constantly signing new people, and the people that are already signed are being neglected a little bit. Is that a fair complaint, you think, from Nikki? Obviously it's complicated, but do you think that's fair?
Yeah, it is a fair complaint by Nikki.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Well, we've said this many times on this podcast that is a problem. I think I would love to see one get a lot of you fighters that haven't fought in a while in action. You know, we've talked about you and who did you mention? Nick Zhang Jingnan, of course, hasn't fought in a while.
Oh, Tenkai,
Tenkai, yeah.
Petanong. You know, we're having a lot of cards where next week, for instance, you know, we have one title fight, and if Nongo or Jonathan Haggerty, one of them misses weight or something, or gets injured, what's the main event for that card? It's a co-main event right now of a guy who has fought once in one championship and a guy who's never fought in one championship. You cannot main event Prime Video show with that. You need to have a backup title fight, in my opinion. You know, and you have enough champions in one, like yourself, John, like Tenkai, like Petanong, like Zhang Jingnan, that you can stack 2 or 3 title fights on any Prime Video card easily. So that's my only complaint right now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I agree.
Just 1 or 2 more questions for you, John, if that's okay.
Yeah, no
what
problem.
do you think
I'm good.
Yeah, okay. Well, what do you think about the ring versus the cage? You know, I know you can't say much about the possibilities for your next fight, where it is, when it is, and so on, and if it's even happening, but there's a good chance it'll end up in a ring because one is using the ring so much now. What do you think? I mean, what do you prefer?
Yeah, my next fight will be in a ring.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I don't mind. I don't mind either. You know, I don't mind either. I was getting used to the cage. It was last time was my first time fighting in a cage, so I was getting kind of used to it, training in the cage and everything. But yeah, the ring is fine. I've been in the ring all my life, so yeah, I cut the angles even better actually. So it's good. Yeah.
And actually, what James Kendrick was asking here, I misread this, asking what you think of a square cage instead of a circular cage. What would you think of a square cage? That'd be kind of weird, I think.
That would be weird. The circle's better. The circle. We'll keep it at the circle.
Yeah.
We'll keep this.
And here's one from Jackson Muay Thai. Maybe we can make this the last question from viewers before we let you go, John. Is your gym in Montreal open to train at for everyone? Can people do drop-ins at your family's gym in Montreal?
Yeah, you can come train with us, of course. Yeah, it's open for everybody. Yeah.
I plan on doing that at some point in the near future. I know I've been saying it, but I'm not far away from Montreal, and I go there pretty often. One of these times I'm going to come in there, get my ass kicked in the gym. Yeah, embarrass myself. But it'll be good, man.
Well, I'm going to be in Canada, guys, in September, I think. You know,
maybe
Toronto?
the 3 of us can get together for some training. Yeah.
We'll do
How far is Toronto?
6 hour
Toronto.
drive.
Yeah,
it's 5.5. It's about a 5.5 hour drive. Yeah.
I'm not going that far. I'm going to a wedding in Barrie. Have you heard of this place, Barrie,
Ontario? Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's not
good?
Not a big city. Yeah.
No?
It's sort of it's like any kind of smaller city outside a really big city. You know.
Someone described it to me as the boonies of Canada.
I didn't say it, but yeah, that's well, I'm just saying, guys. Ottawa is kind of right between Toronto and Montreal, so maybe we can meet in the middle.
We'll meet there. All right. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah. All right, John. Well, I can let you go, but before I do, I just wanted to ask you. We've got this big card coming up next week. Another Prime Video card. Main event is Nongo defending his title against Jonathan Haggerty. Of course, it's Muay Thai, but what do you think of that fight? Do you have a prediction for that one?
I don't have a prediction actually. I don't know. Like I hope Haggerty pulls through. You know, I hope Haggerty pulls through. But you never know. Like it could be. Honestly, I think it could be a really good fight. It could be a chess match as well. But like Nongo has a crazy experience. That's one thing that Nongo has over Haggerty. But Haggerty has some skills. You know, he can get it. You know, he's been a champion before. He can do it again. So but he beat when Haggerty beat Sammy for the belt. Like Sammy trains with Nongo. I think they train together. I'm not sure, but like it's almost the same style. So like he's used to the Thai style and he's used to beating guys experience. I know Nongo was a bit heavier, so it's gonna be a bit harder and a bit more challenging. But yeah, I hope it's a good fight, man. The fans will win that night. I think it'll be a good fight.
Cool, man. Cool. Well, feel free to take off, John, if you got things to do, man. It's we've appreciated you having it.
I'm actually good for 5 more minutes. I'm good.
All right, well, let's do 5 more minutes. There's a few more questions here that I think we can get to. I saw a couple. Here's one. I don't know what this is. Do you remember? Bazooka Joe Valtellini? Does that name?
Valtellini. It's the former Glory champion.
Okay, right. I was gonna say that last name sounds familiar.
From Toronto.
Right. So you're familiar with him, of course.
Yeah. I'm friends with him. We know each other. Yeah.
Okay, so what do you think of his low kick system, where he throws it based on timing of the timing of the step? Is Jimmy's question?
The low kick system where he throws it based on the timing. Yeah, he's good. He's a good fighter. He times his low kicks really well. Yeah, like, if you notice that when he knocked out Raymond Daniels, he set up a low kick, and then he went high. That was a nice one. Yeah, that's a good example for that.
Okay, cool. And here's another one about your training at Killcliff from our guy Crumbopulous. Do you train with your own team when you're there? You've sort of explained this a little bit already, or like, are you using the facilities with your own team, or are you kind of part of the Killcliff squad when you're there? Are you training with everybody?
No, I'm not like part of the Killcliff squad. I'm just there with my dad. My dad's like coaching me. We're just doing some rounds with striking rounds with all the fighters there. Like we're there for just to get some rounds in. Yeah, and Henry Hooft is really nice. He always welcomes us. He's really nice.
Yeah, he's a super nice guy. I remember the first time I met him was in a 7-Eleven in Tokyo, and he was just so nice to me. It was cool. Yeah.
I love his catchphrase though. Kiss, right? Keep it simple, stupid. That's what he always says.
Good one. Yeah. That's I think
applicable to all of life, I think.
It is. Yeah. I live by that philosophy. Actually, I keep it very simple. Was Pavarotti a factor in your title win? Did you walk out to Pavarotti? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah. Solo mio.
Okay, right. And so that was it a factor? Did it get you fired up and focused for your title?
It got me fired up. I remember.
It did get me fired up. Yeah, it did. I sometimes I put that on when I'm training, and
I love that. I think that's stuff, That's great training music. I was just sort of imagining, John, obviously the disappointing thing is that you didn't get onto this USAP, but I'm imagining, later, a year from now, later this year, you're fighting in the US, walking out to Pavarotti, in New York City or something with somewhere with a big, Italian American population. What a moment that would be. Why did they blow this? Why didn't they? I just doesn't make sense to me.
If they go to New York City, I pray they put me on.
I feel like
New York, they'll put me on because they know I train there and everything. Yeah, I have a good fan base as well. Yeah,
I think New York will probably be in their plans eventually, right? Because Denver's a great city from what I hear, but sort of I think it surprised a lot of people that this is the first city that one's going to in the United States, and of course it came down to their rule set. They needed to find a commission that would work with them, but I think once there's an event in the U.S., other commissions will see that this rule set is fine, and then presumably they'll be able to do events in places like New York or Florida. Either place, I think it would be great to have you on the card. Here's a question from Vice, who just joined us. Has JDB talked about any possible fights this year? Yeah, I mean, he has. JDB, you want to reiterate what you've said? You've heard something?
Yeah, so like I got contacted for a fight in one, but it's nothing's official yet, nothing's set yet. No contract has been signed yet. Opponent, I have no idea who the opponent is yet. I just got date and location, if I was available, and I said yes. So we're just waiting on that. Yeah, we're waiting we're waiting on that.
It's gonna feel awfully good, I bet, to get back in there after this wait, right?
Yeah, man, I can't wait.
Nice, man.
I can't wait. Yeah.
So is this visit to Killcliff? Is this kind of the beginning of a training camp, beginning of a fight camp? Would you say, or is it just kind of routine training?
I'm kind of always in camp. I'm always training. So yeah, this is just another day of training. Yeah. I'm always training. Yeah, it's just another day. Yeah.
Okay.
Getting some rounds in.
One thing I should have asked you about, John, much earlier. I can't believe I didn't think of this. Again, feel free to jump out anytime. Maybe we can conclude with this. But Daniel Williams, last minute challenge to Superlek. What did you think of that fight? That was, pretty crazy one.
Yeah. It was a bit disappointing because I find like it would have been like he went up in weight. Like it's had his disadvantage already. So like it's kind of like, it didn't make a bit of sense, but like he has like the courage to do it. Like he was brave enough to do it. So he props to him, But like I find like me and him would have been a better fight. Like it would have been a competitive fight more than Superlek. Superlek is way bigger than him.
In a way, do you kind of find a fight with Daniel Williams more appealing now? Because, obviously you knew he was a cool guy before that, but you've seen his character now. He was willing to do something like this. Does that make you want to fight a guy like that?
It does, but like it doesn't also because he just lost. So I want him like I feel like he needs to get like back on track a bit. Yeah, like maybe in the future, but like he has to get back on track. Right now, I just want to I want to fight like the top guys first. I'm not saying he's not top, he's top guy, but he needs to get like he has to get like back on the winning streak. Yeah.
Very cool. Nick, do you have any questions for the champ before he takes off?
Yeah. Did you ask him about Superlek and whether he
I
would
did not.
Would you? Oh yeah. Would you ever consider that, John? Like maybe going up and trying to
at a catch weight for sure. If it's like 130 or 130, yeah, 130 maybe. Yeah, because I'm under 130. I'm like 129, 128 right now. I'm full. Like I've been eating a lot, so like I'm 128, 20 full. Yeah. So yeah.
Do you see anything when you watch that fight? Yeah. Sorry.
No, go ahead, Nick. Go ahead.
Nick. Did you see anything when you watch that fight where you think, okay, yeah, maybe I could have some success against Superlek or what? Do you see any kind of hole you can pick in that game?
Yeah, I believe that I could have success with any kickboxer, you know, especially like close to the weight. Like yeah, but like I feel like if it was a catch weight, it would be a good fight. Yeah.
Okay.
And hopefully,
I'd like to see it.
I could also make 115 if one championship does a kickboxing division. I can make 115 pounds easy. So
yeah, is there a lot of talent at that
weight? I'm not sure, but I was seeing on Twitter this morning actually, like people asking me like, oh, like they should like, not asking me, but like they had a conversation and they were saying like, oh, 115 one should put a 115 kickboxing division, and I'm like, oh, people are asking for it. That's kind of cool. So like, and they're like, I'm like, and then I saw them in the comments and they're saying that like, there's actually a lot of fighters at 115 in kickboxing, and I was like, I was searching them and I'm like, oh yeah, there actually is, and a lot of them Japanese, and it would be cool. Yeah, I could do it. I can make that weight.
Yeah, I mean, we know the kickboxing scene in Japan is very strong, and it doesn't surprise me at all to hear that there are a ton of fighters at that weight. And, you know, presumably a lot of those guys at 115 could also come up to 125 if they wanted to sign with one, right? There are so many fighters out there. I would love to see one signing some of these people and getting some challengers lined up for you. But the good news, as we've covered, is that you're starting to hear things about your next fight. I'm just so excited about that, John. It's such great news, man. We've all been waiting for this.
Yeah, man. Hopefully it pulls through. Hopefully it gets done soon.
Yeah. Cool, man. Well, do you need to run? Like, I don't want to keep you all day, man. Okay.
Yeah, I can
go. Okay. Well, you're welcome to stay, but okay. Yeah.
Thank you
cool,
for having me, man.
We appreciate the time, John. You're the man. So happy to hear you got a fight coming. Hopefully, and we'll get you back on soon.
All right, guys. You guys are the best. Take care, guys.
All right.
Thanks, John.
Man.
Cheers. And then there were two.
All right. Yeah, what a guy, that Jon Di Bella, man. It's always great chatting with him. He's so generous with his time, too. It was like that time Mikey joined us as well, where they're down to stay for 40 minutes or an hour. I know these guys are busy, you know. I feel so bad, but for some reason, Nick, people seem to enjoy speaking to us on this show. I can't explain it, but it's a nice thing, man.
It's your questions, Tom. They're fantastic.
Well, you know,
holding it down, man.
Just freestyling, man, and we got some great questions in the chat as always.
That's true.
Appreciate all the people that are watching. Looks like we got quite a few people tuned in today. That's great to see, guys. If you're watching for the first time, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us wherever we exist. Appreciate the support. Nick, let's. Here's an interesting comment from Rio Sozin, who this may have been good to ask John about. Okay, here's Amanda Lev is a 125, trains at my gym. She just signed with PFL and she could beat Mengbo and Zamboanga. Oh, this is the guy that was
Rio. Yeah,
Rio. You didn't love our pound for pound rankings last time, and part of it was because you just thought some of the women you trained with could beat some of these women in one championship. You're following up. I like that. I will check out this girl Amanda who signed with PFL. That's cool. I assume you mean their Challenger Series maybe or something, but that's cool, man. There are definitely a lot of great female fighters out there who could sign with one and very easily beat a lot of the fighters in one, I think. I agree with you there for sure. Nick, we had kind of talked about keeping this one a little bit brief today because we're sort of in that lull right now between cards. There's not a ton to talk about. That's why it was great to have JDB with us, because he is an interesting guy, unlike us. But one thing that we should talk about, certainly, the big news that came out yesterday, this new date for Arjun Bhullar and Anatoly Malykhin's heavyweight title fight. Where do we
That's
start
the
here?
big news. Yeah.
It's it was scheduled, then canceled, then rescheduled, then postponed because of this broadcast commitment line, which I don't think anybody really bought. If I'm being honest, it was just not very clear. Let's start with this, Nick.
Yeah.
Are you buying or selling it this time? Is this fight going to happen?
Well, it needs to happen. If it doesn't, then it depends what happens. But if Arjan doesn't make it, and I'm not saying it was his fault last time. I honestly don't think it was. If he doesn't make it this time, then you're in the territory now where you do strip him of the belt, just because we need to do something. And I think if you go to scmp.com/martial arts, you will see an article Tom did today where Anatoly's boxing coach, John Hutchison, Tiger Muay Thai, and his wife and manager, Anita Malykhin, have told us, we want a backup fighter in place. And I think that has to be the case this time. We have to have some sort of other heavyweight MMA title fight on that card. Buchecha versus Rugrug or something. I don't know, whatever you want to do. And then if Arjan doesn't make it, Buchecha steps in, something like that. We need to just get this over with. No more delays, Tom. I can't do any more delays on this. I'm not gonna care anymore. If we wait, I think it took a huge hit this fight when they delayed it from May, and seemingly for no good reason. Still, that line broadcast commitments level doesn't wash with me. I don't know what that even means, and like which broadcaster wanted it on in July in Bangkok instead of Singapore in May? Makes no sense. Anyway, has to happen now for me, Tom. We can't wait any longer.
I completely agree. It sort of feels like this is the last shot that they have at making this fight. And if it falls through, they need to start thinking about stripping somebody, or, if it falls through because Malykhin gets injured, that obviously, gives Arjun some leeway, but if it falls through for anything related to Arjun Bhullar at this stage, as much as I like the guy and have enjoyed watching him and talking to him over the years, they got to take that title away from him, I think, because the undisputed title, we need an undisputed title that's being defended, right? An interim title is a placeholder and nothing more. Somebody needs to be defending this undisputed title. You mentioned the Rugrug and Buchecha fight, Nick. I saw people asking about that. In fact, I think that was the first comment we got today. If I go all the way up. Gordon was asking about Rugrug and Buchecha in August finally happening. I don't know. I've heard the same as everybody else about this fight. I just keep hearing little rumors, and I'm not really sure where they came from. But I also heard about this fight happening this summer. I personally don't like this fight. I think if they're going to have Buchecha fight, he needs to fight Amir Ali Akbari for #1 contender. But the reason I bring this up is because I think, Nick, what you suggested, having another big heavyweight fight on the same card as Anatoly and Arjun's fight makes so much sense. In fact, not doing it seems like a massive, massive blunder on one's part. They need somebody that they can call on to step in and fight either one of these guys if something happens. They need to have a backup plan this time, I think, right?
Yeah, I would hope if that fight is for August, they need to bump it back to July or whatever this title fight is, because we clearly cannot trust this fight to happen, right? It's too many times it's fallen through now, and I'll be so annoyed, Tom, if it falls through again. But it's not about me. It's about the fans. They're letting people down if this is the case. That was a huge blow, losing that fight for May, and then to not even properly explain why, I think was a slap in the face in some regards to fans. I'm calling it straight here. It was annoying. It was not what you do. So we need to get this fight on in July. We need to have a backup fight. No excuses this time. Come on, let's do it, guys. Let's be proper and serious here. We can't run things like, it's not clown college. It's not amateur hour. Come on, let's do this properly. Let's get a backup fight in place. Otherwise, what are we doing? And sorry, I'm fired up, Tom. Fired up after the bus fiasco from earlier.
Take it out on One Championship's matchmakers, man. Let's. I agree that they need to have, like we said, another heavyweight fight on this card. But I think, say it's Buchecha and Rugrug, for example. I think they need to have a fight on the card and they need to explicitly say to one of those fighters, say, Buchecha, you're fighting Rug, but you're the guy if something happens. So keep that in mind.
It's just common sense. And look what LC is saying here. I'd be annoyed if I bought a ticket for it. 100%. Imagine if I flew to Singapore, booked tickets, booked a nice fancy hotel, Tom, 5 stars, and then the fight falls through. I'd be annoyed. If I bought tickets to Thailand, nice fancy 5-star hotel, Thailand, getting ready for my title fight, Bhullar Malykhin, it falls through again, I'd be annoyed. I'm wasting money here. Would you then go back and buy another ticket for the promotion? Would you then tune in to the next show? No, you can't treat people with contempt who want to enjoy your product. You know what I mean? You have to understand this is the UFC, for all the criticism they get, they're very, very good at saving cards that fall through late on. I think they get a lot of criticism, a lot of things, but they always have a backup plan, I think, in place. You see it. They even bring fighters who not even on the card. They just go there to make weight in case someone doesn't. Like, who was it? Colby Covington in London with Leon Edwards and Kamaru Usman. And he's saying Gilbert Burns might be the next one for the Leon and Colby fight. So you don't even have to make weight in one, essentially, right? You do, but you don't have to cut weight. So they don't even need to have Buchecha on the card. They can just have him make sure he's on weight, hanging around in the hotel in Lumpini Stadium backstage. In case someone trips over a cable, busts their knee on their way out to the ring, Buchecha can run in, save the day.
He's a company man too, Buchecha. I think he'd probably be more than happy to do that. And you mentioned tripping over a cable when this news of the new date,
the Tony Ferguson
came out.
Special.
Well, somebody on Instagram I saw on our post said, this is becoming the new Khabib versus Tony, and I think that's bang on, man. It's starting to have that feel, like the fight that we all want to see so badly, but it keeps falling through to the point that some people, I think, are starting to feel like, let's just move on. This one's not meant to happen. I don't even care anymore. This really feels like their last chance to do this. One thing we can kind of follow up on, I guess, how do you see this one going, Nick? We've discussed it now 3 times because we keep thinking it's going to happen, but has your prediction changed? How do you envision this fight happening?
Well, I guess the interesting thing we can now talk about is it's going to be in a ring, right? Instead of a cage. So I think that favors Malykhin even more. I'm still picking Malykhin, and no disrespect to Arjan, I don't think it's going to be as easy as a lot of people think. It may even go to a decision, but I think Malykhin's going to do it, and it's either going to be a spectacular knockout or Arjan's going to put up a real fight. I'm just favoring Malykhin. I think he's from what I've seen in one championship, he's done more to impress me, and he's been more violent. Bhullar has had a couple of decision wins and then a TKO, I think, or maybe just one decision. He's not fought. Is he fought twice or 3 times?
He's fought twice and won.
So the decision over Cirilli and then the TKO over Brandon. I mean, I've seen more from Malykhin, and the way he has finished fights is obviously impressive. Bhullar, I would argue that the last win was over a guy who was a middleweight naturally, so there is merit to that. But it was still violent as hell. So I'm just picking Malykhin based on what I've seen. Don't add next Tuesday, whenever they fight. I don't know. How do you see it going, Tom? Does the ring factor into it for you?
Yeah, definitely the ring factors in. I mean, I've always picked Anatoly in this matchup, and again, no disrespect to Bhullar, we both think he's a great fighter, and I've enjoyed my conversations with him over the years. I've interviewed him a few times. Seems like a nice guy, but this matchup to me, it just seems like Anatoly is more active. He's maybe more athletic. He's just, there's so many reasons to favor him in this one, as you said, and the ring is sort of just the icing on the cake in terms of his advantages in this fight. I think it's going to be pretty easy for him to corner Arjan in a ring. I think he's going to move really well in a ring. He's fought in a ring before, I believe. I think it's going to be a lot harder for Arjan to kind of clinch in the ring, I think. Like kind of the tie-ups against the cage that he might rely on otherwise to get his takedowns. I don't imagine that will be quite as easy in a ring. Yeah, as you said, Nick, I mean, I can't really argue with anything you said. I think this is Anatoly's fight to lose, particularly now that it's in a ring. I'm just going to throw up a few questions, Nick, before we call it. Here's one from James that I thought was funny. Why do we easily forget about the takes or opinions we have made in the past? Well, my answer to that would be, for, in terms of opinions, they change. Sometimes, there's new information, our opinions change. As for forgetting, we're constantly talking about one championship. Every week we have this podcast. We're always interviewing people. We're covering these cards. Our minds change. Sometimes we forget things we've said in the past because we're saying so much. So, James, my sincere apologies if we sometimes contradict the things we've said in the past.
My question to you, James, why do you come on a podcast and hate on us for don't you have to watch it? You can leave. It's all right. We're happy to have you. We're happy to have you. Same as you, Rio. You're banging on again about this pound for pound list. That was last week, man. Come on. And if all these fighters in your gym are so good, right, great. I'll watch them in PFL and great. 4-0 record in amateurs. Great. Yeah. I'm happy for your friends. Yeah. You don't have to come here and give us shit. All right. If you don't want to watch, just turn it off. Right. Please. We're here to talk about what we're here to talk about. Okay. I'm fired up. Right.
Yeah. I love this side of you, Nick. And this is the kind of thing I've always wanted to say, and I have given people a hard time in the comments.
I love all you guys, and it's just, you want to make a podcast, I'll come and, what do you do, James? Tell me what your job is. I'll turn up, knock on the door, start criticizing you in front of your face. Like, how's that going to make you feel? You don't have to watch it. Come on.
Yeah, it's true. And we appreciate constructive criticism, of course, guys, and we do appreciate you watching and stuff. But lately, the last 2 episodes, it has seemed like there's just a ton of negativity in the comments, and I don't really know what has changed, but it sucks. And hopefully that doesn't continue, because we love you guys. We hope you love us. We're here to entertain. We're here to.
It's all love. I've seen some of you guys around for 3 years since we're doing it, so I'm happy to have you.
Yeah. Let's keep it clean. Let's keep it friendly, guys.
We're all part of the same community. They're not being mean or angry, but
that's true. That's true. True.
I'm not in the mood today to just let people
take man.
pot shots at us, Tom. What is this? Man, what opinion did I forget about, and what take did I make in the past that I've now changed? Or is this?
As a general rule, if you don't dish it out if you can't take it, right? If you've got criticisms of us, expect some heat back, especially if Nick has had an arduous bus ride home, and I've been known to spit back a little bit too. I got to throw this up. Anonymous, thank you so much for this. That prediction makes me sad, I have to say. If that's how it ends, with Malykhin punching Bhullar in the groin, and it's declared a no contest and rescheduled for 2023 or November, my pick would be to just let go of the fight forever. But thank you for that generous donation. That's very nice of you. Yeah, so kind of you guys to contribute the way you do.
Anonymous is always doing this, so I really want to say thank you to Anonymous, and it really helps because, I pay some of these guys out of my own pocket for the podcasts, like JHK and Drake. So I'm not even going to see any of this money. It's going to go straight into SCMP's coffers, actually. But, the more money we can generate, the more I can convince SCMP to maybe pay those freelancers. So I might not have to pay them. So it's good. I appreciate it, Anonymous. And, it's good. Like Dylan's saying here, sadly, the culture of MMA commentary is largely negative. But there's also positive things like that. I appreciate it, Anonymous. And we can take the negative, we can take the positive. It's all good. Bring it on. Yeah,
definitely, man. And we appreciate all the positive comments, of course. Most of you are very supportive. And even some of you that, at times criticize are generally supportive too. You keep coming back, and we can't tell you how much we appreciate that. Let's talk about the fights again a little bit more. Is there anything else to discuss, Nick? Arjun Bhullar and Malykhin, we've discussed this to death, I feel. Was there anything else we talked about hitting on this podcast? I did see one question, actually. I don't know if I'll be able to find it again. Someone asked me for a follow-up on something. Oh, here it is. I suggested earlier, Nick, I don't know if you had joined us at this point, that Denver, a bit of a strange choice for one's U.S. debut. I think it sort of surprised a lot of people when it was announced. I was speculating that it's because one's rule set is a little bit different than the one used by UFC, Bellator, PFL. They have the grounded knees, and of course they promote Muay Thai and 4-ounce gloves. These are rules and, kind of variations on sports that American commissions, the state commissions, haven't dealt with before, just because one has never been to the States before. So I think they decided on Denver just because the Colorado Commission was one of the ones that was willing to work with them. And, without making them compromise their rules, was willing to allow them to have the grounded knees, willing to promote Muay Thai and 4-ounce gloves and so on. So I think that's why it ended up being Denver. I think the Colorado Commission was just very receptive of one's rules. And what I was saying is, I think once one has a successful debut in a place like Denver, other commissions in other states will see that it went swimmingly, that the rule set is fair and safe, and so on, and we'll see more one events in other states. That I'm theorizing, though. This is speculation, but that is my theory as to why this debut is happening in Denver and not a bigger market like New York City or Los Angeles or whatever.
Well, look, we were talking about earlier, right? Power Pickle seems to have bought a ticket and a flight to watch Bhullar and Malykhin, and they got cancelled. Frustrating. So there we go. Proof in the pudding. James is still upset that I'm upset. Tell me when you're being negative. When I criticize you, I asked a fair question. You reacted. I always enjoy this pod. Yeah, I enjoy you, James, always watching, and I've seen you commenting over the years. The comment that it was this one general question for both Nick and Tom: why do you guys easily forget about the takes or opinions you guys make in the pod? That to me is negative, James. You're saying we're stupid or we're dumb and we flip flop and change things. If you didn't mean to be negative, that's fine. If you did, it's fine too. That was all that I was going off. Anyway, Tom, next one. What do we got here? Ernesto saying there's always going to be haters. All right. I sincerely appreciate everything Tom, Nick, and John do for fans of One Championship. That's it. Guys, we are here making a podcast about One Championship. No one else does this. We do it now. We're trying to do it every week. So we're going to talk about surprise, One Championship. If you don't like One Championship, which I think a bunch of people in the comments here do not, you don't have to watch it. You can still as well if you want to. But if you bring the negativity in, what's the point, right? I don't hate watch stuff. Tom, do you go and watch a podcast about something you don't like and comment on it? Is that?
No, that is a form of masochism I haven't experienced yet. But, if you're a One Championship hater, you're still welcome here,
You are,
But, and you're also
we might bring you up on anything you say,
Yeah, just be ready to get dunked on if you say something. It's,
and you can dunk on us, you can dunk on us.
Yeah, and James, no worries, man. Water under the bridge.
Good,
Let's move past it. Yeah. It was a misunderstanding. I think sometimes the nuances of conversation are lost on the internet when we can't see each other's facial expressions and the tone of voice and whatnot. No big deal. That guy JHK, I don't trust him anyway.
Yeah, neither do I. Canceling on us today as well.
How could he, man? Yeah. Thank God we could get JDB to jump on. John, also, I have to give him credit. Di Bella, not Korean John, jumped on this podcast with like 6 or 7 hours notice, which was very cool of him. I saw that video of Michael Chandler. We were trying to decide what to talk about on this podcast today because it's a slow news week. And I was like, hey, let's get Jon Di Bella on here if he's down. And sure enough, that guy was down as he always is. He's so generous with his time. And speaking of generosity, another guy that's joined us on the podcast before, Mikey Musumeci, I interviewed him last night. Went like almost half an hour talking to him, and again kept feeling bad that it was running so long, but he kept telling me it was fine, and we ended up having a very good interview that will be on YouTube in a few short hours. It's edited. I just got to post it, so that's coming. And also I interviewed Denise Zamboanga at like 8 a.m. this morning Eastern time, so that'll be up soon too.
You left me no one for next week, Tom. Who am I going to interview in Bangkok now? Come on.
That's true. Apologies, man. Well, you can interview Denise again. Yeah.
I'm actually on holiday next week. So I'm going to the show, but I'm just going to be I'll probably only be working really hard on the Saturday or the fight morning.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be doing some video, but I'm not going to go all out. So Tom's going to have to do the writing. But
happy to do it, man. And I'm loading up some interviews, so yeah, we're in business.
Well, that's good. Yeah, I can. If you've done Denise already, I don't have to do it. All right. Jaden, but I'll say I think a little negativity is good. Everyone deserves to meet fun of at one point, as long as it's in good fun, right? Absolutely.
Yep.
Go for it if you want to poke fun at us. We got a lot of hate last week for the pound for pound. So it's just fine. We can take it, but we'll bite back sometimes. And as long as you guys can take us biting back, then I'm here for it. Al C saying one needs to sort out the rules for grappling. No guard pull. Yeah, we talked about it before. It's all over the place, the grappling, and something needs to be. There's something missing for me in the whole recipe. Is that what you call it? Like the mixture. It's not right for me. There's something missing. We've talked about maybe raising the cage up, hanging it above the ring like Hell in a Cell, in WWE and just having a mat on the floor and everyone could see. I don't know what it is. I hope you can figure it out.
Yeah,
Sorry, I just stole.
if
You're running it. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I appreciate it. I was just going to follow up on that, Al. I talked to Mikey about that quite a bit. The rule change, and it was that rule took effect in his sister's debut, Tammy's debut with Bianca Basilio, and we talked about that, Mikey and I, for quite a while. So I encourage you when that interview is on YouTube in a couple hours to give it a watch. We talked about that towards the end, the last 10 minutes or so. So if you're interested in that and Mikey's experience with that rule change, check that out. And he wasn't super in favor of it. I know he's a company man. He loves one championship, but he was not afraid to kind of share his candid opinions on that rule. Anything else we can throw up here, Nick, before we...
Well, I just wanted to mention one other fight we could talk about. Another friend of the show, Mr. Artem Belak, my man. He's going to be fighting Kwan Won-il, another friend of the show. Tom, I don't know what I'm going to think when I see this fight. I like both of these guys. So Artem Belak obviously trains out of Tiger Muay Thai with Anatoly Malykhin, with Fabricio, with Shamil, with Ilya, all those guys. He's one of the boys there, that Russian contingent. Kwan Won-il, though, he's looked very sharp. This is quite a big fight at bantamweight. I think it's going to be maybe title implications for after Loman. You never know. But Fabricio has obviously beaten Kwan before, and he trains loosely with Artem. So interesting ramifications, Tom, I think, depending on who wins this one.
Yeah, I mean, this... Obviously, the fact that Kwan has lost to Fabricio makes things a little bit complicated, but on the surface, this looks kind of a little bit like a title eliminator. Obviously, next shot will go to Stephen Loman, but after that, the winner of this one will be right there, and it's going to be a crazy fight. This looks like a really nice fight on paper, but as you said, both really nice guys. We had a great time talking to Kwan. Was that in Singapore? I think that he fought his last fight. Yeah, and then Artem is, as you said, a real friend of the show and of us. He's very supportive on Instagram, always sharing our stuff, and that really makes a difference for us as we try to grow the Instagram account. Just two great guys and a great fight, and it's gonna suck to see one of them lose, but on the other hand, it's gonna be great to see one of them take another step up the ladder and get closer to that title shot.
Yeah, and Jimmy is asking, the real question is, when is Shannon fighting? Shannon is back in June. I just found out today. Going to catch up with Shannon next week in Bangkok. Sorry, I think he's June 23rd, and it's going to be Lumpini at the They have a quarterly flagship show now, Lumpini. So like the one where you had Sinsamut against Reggie and Ursel, they stacked that card up. Sam A. It's going to be that type of card when they stack Lumpini cards, and I think this Belak Kwan fight may fall on the same date at Lumpini.
And that's June 23rd, you said?
Yeah. So yeah, I better double check. But
this is
Shannon,
pure speculation, but I would venture a guess that is when JDB and Zhang Peimian will fight again on that card. I'm just guessing, but it seems like the kind of fight they might put on a card like that, one of these flagship Lumpini cards.
Well, that's great. We've tied this all in very nicely. Yeah.
There's a question from Anonymous. Nick, maybe you can answer that one. Oh, sorry.
I was just getting Jimmy's praise for Shannon. I believe the best fighter to come out of Bangtao ever. High praise for Shannon Wirachai. Anonymous, sorry, this one. Why is every card in Thailand now? I think realistically, it's just saves a lot of money, and they've put a lot of money, I think, into this first US show in Denver. All the budget seems to have gone on that, and I think they're just going to see how that plays out. If you have an arena already that you're at every week, it makes sense to just do the show there every month. If you want to cut costs, you don't need to rig up a huge production setup. They don't need a stage. They don't have an elaborate lighting rig, or there's still pretty good lighting. It still looks amazing and sounds good, but it's just a lot easier to run as a stadium, and it's easier to fill. It's only 2,000, I think, or 1,800. I'm a fan of the bigger arena shows, obviously, because it just looks better on TV and sounds better, and when you're in the arena, it's just a whole bigger atmosphere. But I think it makes sense to do, but I wouldn't want to do it all the time. Yeah, it seems like every card right now is on there. I think we're gonna have this one next week is there, and then what month are we in? Sorry, April. Yeah, then we got May in Denver. Then June is Lumpini. July is Lumpini. So it looks like there could be a stretch of Lumpinis over the summer. I'd like to see them go back to Manila. I'd like to see them go to Tokyo. I'd like to see them go to South Korea. So yeah, I'd like to see. But we'll see. We'll see. I don't think there's locations are set for anything past July. So, I think right now it's just cutting costs at the moment. Because of the US show seems to be quite an expensive thing for them. They're putting a lot of eggs in that basket, trying to make it as big as possible, in the hopes of maybe going back to the US again this year and making it a regular thing twice, 3 times a year, 4 times a year. Who knows? I hope that answered your question, Anonymous. Sorry, I rambled on a bit.
I think that answered it, man.
Okay.
Any other questions we want to get to?
LC actually said, yeah, there's so many fighters in Thailand to field cards as well. That is also true. And it ties into that when I was saying saving money. You can get people from nearby to fill out cards. And yeah, it's all like an ecosystem. Anyway, Jimmy saying 2 weeks not enough time to get acclimated to altitude, especially if you're doing something as intense as fighting. Yeah, well, what do we got? A month now to go or less? Yeah, 3 weeks. So
yeah.
Stamp Fairtex is out there already.
Elise
she got there yesterday. Elise. It's not enough though, as Jimmy says. I think you need to be there for a month, right, to really get a feeling. I think we're going to have to accept we're going to have a lot of sloppy fights on that card. We're going to have a lot of people gassing out. And
Mikey was saying he's only going like 5 or 6 days ahead of time, I think.
Yeah.
I hope that's enough for a grappling match. But worth noting, Denver is at altitude, but it's not like super, super, super altitude-y, which is not a word, but I'm going to use it anyway.
Super altitude-y, yes.
Yeah, it's like 5,000 feet. And, I think some other cities are like 8,000. I don't know what Mexico City is, some of these really high up cities, but I think Denver it's a city at altitude, but it's not perhaps as serious as some other places where fights often happen. So hopefully it's not too bad, but I am sort of bracing for that, Nick, that we may see some very tired fighters in the circle on that day.
I'm sure I will struggle as well. Anonymous going to be at a June 9-10 card live, buying tickets soon. Well, come say hello, Anonymous, if you see me. I think I'll be there. This one from James asking, what do you think of Itsuki Hirata? How about you? You want to answer this one, Tom? Being advertised the way she is, I thought it was misogynistic. Drake Riggs agreed, but I don't know if that's the right word for it.
Yeah, I think I know what you mean. I know what you mean about misogynistic. I think maybe the word you're thinking of, like kind of like exploitative almost, where it's like she's being promoted based on her looks, sort of. I think, James, correct me if I'm wrong, that's what you're suggesting, that she's getting the rub sort of because she's pretty. I think it's fair to be concerned about that, but the counter obviously is that Itsuki is a grown woman and she, has agency, and she could not be promoted in this way if she wanted to. She could just call it quits. And I think it's fair. It seems like there's a partnership between her and one, and this is how they promote her and how she likes to be promoted. Obviously she hasn't been getting the results she wants in the last couple of fights. Well, she beat Lin Hershin, but she I think it's okay the way they've been promoting her. She's marketable and they're marketing her. That would be my take. As long as she's okay with it, I think it's fair. Nick, anything to add to that?
I think you're right. I'd be surprised if they didn't clear everything with her. And I think if you look at her own Instagram, it seems in line with the type of content she would post anyway. And whether you're a fan or not of that kind of content, I don't mind it. It's fine. If I was attractive, sexy fighter, I'd probably push myself that same way, but I'm not. I'm
Do it, Nick.
Kind of chubby, middle-aged dude.
Guys, get in the comments and tell Nick how attractive and sexy he is, guys.
Yeah,
he had a tough bus ride today. He needs an ego boost.
You go for it.
Yeah, here's one that I think you could probably answer better than me. It looks like Jimmy Viano is going ahead with his fight in Aries. We haven't heard much about Anissa, but we know that she was talking about that. Nick, I think you kind of touched on this last time we did this. It sounds like, I mean, they're probably going to do this, right? But it's going to kickstart a contract dispute, right?
I was just reminded yesterday when I saw my guy Aaron Bronstetter put out a list of fighters who will be on season 2 of Road to UFC, and one of them was Lee Kai-Wen, none other than the man Lee Kai-Wen himself, who, let's remember, had an acrimonious departure from one championship, a couple of years ago, and then he joined the UFC Shanghai Performance Institute, the China Academy, and then nothing happened. We didn't see a debut in UFC, even though a bunch of the fighters from there were on Dana's Contender Series. And then it just turned out he still was under contract with one. One dragged his ass back and then threw him to the biggest, baddest wolf they had, Fabricio Andrade. He was almost like a hitman going in there, taking out Lee Kai-Wen. Poor Lee Kai-Wen just got sacrificed. And this is what I'm reminded of with Viano and Mexon. They're under contract with one championship. And I feel they're going to get their drag back and made who could you sacrifice Mexon to, though? There's no one I think she's afraid of. There's no one who if anything, you're giving her what she actually wants. You're giving her Alicia Rodriguez or Janet Todd or Stamp. You're giving her a title shot. Viano as well. How do you punish him? These two are like elite athletes who can hang with the champions. So it's a bit different, but I don't think it's going to end well. Yeah, this whole thing is going to be messy. I don't think it's going to be, even if they turn up at Ares and fight, I think there's going to be long, drawn-out, messy lawsuits going on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that's sort of, there's going to be some lawsuits. I think, speaking of Road to UFC, I don't know if you saw, Nick, also Shuya Kamakubo, who is a one championship fighter, is in that as well from Japan. And he was really good, man. He was kind of boring, but he was really good. I'm just looking at his Tapology. He's on like first of all, he's 12-1, which is a good record. But he's won like his last 10 fights or something, including a bunch in one championship. Like he's undefeated in like 5 or 6 one championship fights. Beat Bruno Pucci, beat Dae Hwan Kim, who just, I think, knocked out Yuya, right? If I'm not mistaken. Beat Troy Worthen, beat Muhammad Aiman, beat Sunoto, if you remember him. Like, these are not world-class guys, I would say, but solid wins that he had in one championship. I'm kind of surprised to see they let him go, honestly. But maybe it's because he wasn't the most entertaining guy.
I'm very surprised to see him go. Just what a record, right? Why would you? Mm-hmm. But fair play to him. He's on a huge win streak, and he's beaten a lot of name-worthy guys in one championship.
Yeah, and recently too. That fight with Troy Worthen was just over a year ago. I mean, it's not like he's been out for ages.
Yeah, it's a shame, but I think one runs the risk. When they don't book fighters, it takes so long. I guess contracts expire eventually, right? And then guys, or they don't renew. I don't know how it works with one, but why wouldn't you just take a chance on Road to UFC?
Makes sense.
It's a bad look for one, though. If you've got a guy on an 8-fight win streak or whatever in your promotion who bails, goes to a tournament to get in UFC, it is a bad look. So that's the risk you run. I think someone should have tied this guy down to another deal or made sure that they didn't lose him, because it's not looking good, is it? And we saw, who was it last season? The guy who Martin beat in Manila, and Gary Tonin beat him as well. Kiyomi Matsushima.
Oh yeah.
He won his first fight, I think, in the first season. Yeah, again, it's just that one's a little different because he's coming out of one on a loss, but this one for me, it's odd. I just don't really understand how they would let someone go on such a hot streak. It makes no sense to me. Anyway, sorry.
No worries, man. I agree completely. I can't argue with any of that. Here's one from our guy Alvin. Jackie Buntan fan. Me also. Nick also. Who doesn't love watching Jackie fight? Who should she fight next? She has an electrifying style. I you may not know this, Alvin. She's on she's on the U.S. debut. She's fighting Deandra Martin on that card. They're both riding wins over, who did they fight last? Amber Kitchen. They both beat Amber Kitchen in their last fights, I believe. So that's like a nice fight between two women riding wins over the same person. As for what's next after that, I would assume it's a rematch with Smilla if Jackie wins, if she beats Deandra. I assume whoever wins that fight will probably get the next title shot, but particularly Jackie because I think she's a bit more popular. And obviously the first fight with Smilla was maybe not super competitive, but Jackie won the first couple of rounds, if I recall correctly. So competitive enough to warrant a rematch. Yeah, I mean, that's what's next for Jackie. If you didn't know that she's on that U.S. debut on May 5th, Alvin, I'm happy to share that news with you. So you don't have to wait long to see her fight again. See that electrifying style that Brian Popejoy has instilled in her. She's a lot of fun to watch, though, and apparently she's changed a lot over the years. Apparently, if you go back and watch her older fights, she had a totally different fighting style and has become a lot more boxing-oriented over the last few years, which I think we've all enjoyed watching. But yeah, just
well, why don't we wrap it up eventually? I'm gonna get out of here, I think. Any other questions?
Yeah. I think that's enough. I'll get to this one real quick from Jimmy. Have we interviewed Brian Popejoy? Not really a conventional interview, but certainly I did actually kind of do a quick 2-minute interview with him and Jackie at the same time backstage after Jackie beat Amber Kitchen in Manila. But we've spoken at great length, Nick and I both, to Brian in the lead up to that card in Manila. Janet was supposed to be on that one too, of course, and Jackie was there fighting. Yeah, and we had some great conversations with him. He's a really nice guy. His wife is very nice as well. And just a wealth of knowledge when it comes to Muay Thai and boxing. Such a smart guy and such a strategic coach. His approach to coaching and to fighting is really interesting. It's just one of these guys that when you encounter him and in the fight world, it's just, you could listen to him talk for hours. He's just such an interesting guy. But we should get him on.
I bumped into him and what's her name? His wife, Siki, I think. Yeah. At the weigh-ins, or no, it was a press conference, the last event. Yeah, very nice people. Always fun chatting to them. And it was fun. He just went and took a selfie with Alicia Rodriguez, right before the fight. It's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a great guy. Great team, that whole team. All right, well, let's end it there. We've been going for an hour and 20 minutes. We were talking about keeping this one shorter anyway because there's just not a ton going on to talk about these days in One Championship. That'll change obviously next week with another fight card. We will any other questions that we missed, guys, please come back next Wednesday. We'll get to them. There's a lot of comments this time. We tried to get to as many as we could. But yeah, thank you everyone for joining us. It was a lot of fun as always. It was great having Jon Di Bella on the show. Nick, anything you'd like to add before we call this?
No, just it's all love to James Kendrick. We're our battle earlier, our verbal battle. I do appreciate you. I recognize you from years ago. I know you've been watching, tuning in for a while, so I appreciate you, and I love to have verbal sparring. I'll just be fired up today. So
yeah.
Jaden Bernal, why are my comments being ignored? I don't know.
They were.
Which one? Why would the way it seeks emphasize be a bad thing? I think she's a banging hottie and a good fighter. Well,
that didn't really seem like a question. Yeah. I thought you were just kind of chiming in, Jaden, but we didn't mean to neglect your question. If you wanted to follow up on that. I think the way she's being promoted is fine. I agree. She's a banging hottie. She's a good fighter too. I think the way they're promoting Itsuki is fine. And if she has a problem with it, I would hope that she would tell them. That's my take on that.
Yeah, sorry, we can't always get to every comment and question. I think they just fly past quite quickly sometimes on the screen because all you lovely people are all commenting. So yeah, it's appreciated, But yeah, sometimes it is busy. We do miss a few things, but it's then hard to scroll back up and find things while
things get buried. Yeah,
opening my fat gums and
we do our best. We certainly don't intend to ignore anybody unless you're saying something reprehensible, in which case you will definitely be ignored. But for the most part, we try to acknowledge everyone that says anything in here. But we're going to leave it there, guys. Thank you so much for joining us. This is the Post-Fight Podcast. If you haven't done it yet, please like and subscribe. Follow us on Instagram. Follow us on Facebook. Follow us on Twitter. And we'll be back this time next week. Correct, Nick?
Or
Or maybe
be.
not.
I mean,
You'll be in.
I'm going to be in Bangkok, but I might be taking it easy. So
We'll see. Yeah, we'll be back in some fashion next week. Maybe JHK and I or something, or me and another fighter or something. We'll make something happen.
Okay. Yeah. Well,
All right, guys.
we'll get it squared with JHK hopefully. So yeah, we'll try and have something in. I mean, I think I'm going to try and do a preview on the ground with Rich Franklin or something like that. So we'll see. But otherwise, yeah, maybe JHK and Tom can do something, and yeah, hopefully we'll have it again. But yeah, check back in. We'll have a lot of interviews on the same day, on Wednesday, from Media Day or whatever they want to call it. It's just me, not any other media. But
yeah.
SCMP
Cool.
Day.
All right, guys.
We'll call it.
Yeah. Well, thank you for joining us, everyone. We'll be back soon, probably next week. Stay tuned to the channel for lots more good One Championship stuff, and we'll